Good evening. Monday night. Hey Jack, nice to see you. Sorry, I had forgotten to put out a link that there was a meditation happening tonight. I do them at a bunch, like a batch put them out. And every time I do it, like, oh my goodness, it's so many. Like it lasts for a month and a half. I'm never going to run out of this. And then every single time at the end of it, I'm like, oh, poopers, it's done. Like I need to put another one out. So happy you guys came, even though I didn't have a post up, but yeah, I'll be better at doing that. Hey Catherine, hey Mindful Mama. I hope everyone's had a good weekend and a good summer vacation. We just started. I started working today for the first time since 5 weeks back. Well, I have been busy working at home, but working at my work. Isn't there an option to make it? I haven't found one. It seems that maybe there is like a recurring thing. Hey Steven. And what I have to do is I have to redo them every time, so I can now duplicate one that I made, so I don't have to actually redo them from scratch. But maybe there's a way to actually schedule it so that it just keeps on repeating. That would be pretty nice. No, actually not, because then they would, like, should you make it for a year in advance or a month in advance? Because you can actually see every single time I will stream live. But I'll check it in. Check it out. Check it in. I'll check it out, Jack. That's a good suggestion. It would make sense if there was something that you could do to make it a little bit easier, because I can't be the only one who makes regular streams like this. Even though I am completely out of focus. Let's see. Can I find myself in focus? And then there's the delay before I see what I did. Yep, seems like I'm back in focus. Or maybe not. Wow, it doesn't matter. I wanted to talk a little, because last time we spoke about the rubber band. When we did the guided meditation last Monday, we spoke about the rubber band, how there's a feeling like, oh, I want to itch something here, and it's almost as if though there's something pulling your hand up, wanting you to go there and itch or scratch or whatever it is that you're feeling. And that tension, that discomfort or pressure, is what I call distortion. And it moves us. It kind of, without you realizing it, you have those rubber bands pulling you all the time when you're walking around. You have it when you see an advertisement, when you see an object that you crave for or that you want. So it's not really that those things in and of themselves are bad or evil. It's just that we have unhealthy rubber band effects towards them. We're being pulled towards them, or like pushed away from them. And the whole reason for doing this is that once you've done this and you're able to take away, you're not going to be able to just take away like all of the distortions or the rubber bands at one time, but you'll be able to gradually tone them away so there's less of them. What happens then is that you can observe reality without the distorting effect that comes from having these distortions. And the distortion in and of themselves is what creates a sense of self. So when you stop distorting, you'll also stop feeling like I am here and things are just there. And the relief of not having to carry a relationship towards everything around you, but instead just observing that, oh, here's this, here's a person talking, here's someone saying something, and it's not affecting you, meaning it's not a person that reflects all of this. So when you do that, then everything just appears clearer. It's remarkable in its clarity. It's just enjoyable to be alive. It's enjoyable to walk around, to observe, to feel things, to hear things. I was just on a call, and I so enjoyed listening to the sound of someone else's voice, just hearing them talk. I was like, wow, such a beautiful voice, just hearing them talking and hearing words come out and hearing the vibrations and hearing how they changed the timbre and like when they went up in tone, down in tone and tempo, and how all of those things created this personality. So when you can relieve this pressure that you have towards everything, this sense of me needing to have a judgment about everything, basically, then you observe reality as it is. And I was playing with one of my students. I was saying that it's observana, meaning you observe, because just observing is like some kind of nirvana. I'm not sure if that's a good word, but I joked about it, and I'm like, yeah, that makes sense. It's observana. You're really, literally observing the world around you as heaven. Not, yeah. If you really get into it, it feels like heaven. I mean, it really feels absolutely amazing, wherever you may be. Just sitting here is incredible. Seeing this, feeling the air coming from the air conditioner, seeing the screen and having everything around you. Let's see, Jack is saying, my neurology professor always said that there are no distortions that can't get straight with electric shock, but I hope we're making a joke. Well, electric shocks make sense, you know. If you have a really strong rubber band, you're so stuck in that distortion towards that if you shock it with, say, an electric shock, then you can, and you kind of get jolted out of that distortion. It can actually help you release those things, and that's similar to taking a cold shower. If you're really stuck in your distortion towards something and you take a cold shower, then that can help you jar you out of, what was I doing? Because it's so overwhelming with the senses of having a cold shower. So electric shock therapy is not that you get electrodes and then you sit and get shocked the whole time and it's torture. It's more like short bursts that kind of help you break these patterns. So I think, I mean, I've heard of people who love that therapy, who think it's amazing, and it's still practiced today in some places. So yeah, it's not as bad as it sounds, is my belief, at least from what I've heard about it. I have, just so you know, I have a problem with my neck today. My herniated discs are giving me a lot of pain. So it might be, if it's really bad, I'll have to cut the meditation short, or maybe I'll try lying down or something. But it might be that if it feels bad afterwards, there won't be a question and answer in the end. I'm hoping that it won't be that bad, but just in case, you know. So let's get started. For those of you who are new, raise this one more. We start with a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method, where we say out aloud 5 things we can see, 4 things we can feel, 3 things that we can hear, 2 things we can smell, and 1 thing that we can taste. And the whole idea behind this is that we want to get to this point of observana, where we're not distorting towards things, but actually seeing them as they are. There's an expression in Buddhism where they say that in the seen is only the seen, in the heard is only the heard. There's no I in there. There's no reflection or any judgment or any tension or any pressure towards the things you're experiencing with your senses. And when you can experience reality that way, it is truly remarkable to be alive. So we do this as a way to come back to our senses. And it's not about saying 5 things, dun, 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 dun. No, we try to say them out aloud in case it does, unless it disturbs people around you. You say it out loud, and we want to really slow down. It would be better for you to say 1 thing and just look at this sofa the whole time we do the exercise, than just naming them off and try to get as many as possible. After that, we have 20 minutes of guided meditation today, since it's Monday. And then normally we have questions and answers. It depends a little bit on how my neck is feeling. If it's really bad, then we'll have to cut it short, but we'll see how it goes. So you can just say it out loud with me. I can see a picture of what I believe is Jack. I can see a camera lens. I can see a pair of woolen clogs. I can see a fire extinguisher. And I can see a fire alarm. Those were 5 things that I could see. 4 things that I can touch. I can touch this woolen sofa. I can touch the beard on my face. I can touch the metal on the tripod for my microphone. And I can touch the carpet. Those were 4 things that I can touch. Now we do 3 things that we can hear, and don't take just the first thing here. Like, really try to listen and see if you can find some not so obvious sounds. I can hear a dog barking. I heard a bird fly by. And I can hear the humming from the compressor of the air conditioner. I would do two things that we can smell. I can smell bread. And I can smell the cold air from the air conditioner. Finally, we take one thing that we can taste. I can taste cornflakes. So put yourself in a comfortable position for you. If it's possible, it's nice to sit down in a cross-legged position with your eyes closed, but it also works perfectly fine to be standing up or lying down or even walking if you would prefer to do so. What we're trying to do in this meditation is to focus on our breath, and we're trying to aim for awareness of the breath on a wide area. We're not looking for the specific sensations of air as they touch the tip of your nose or the back of your nose cavity as it goes down into the lungs. We're not going into that kind of narrowed down awareness. Instead, we're trying to have a wide awareness where we're more aware of breath happening. And usually the focus will be on your chest area or your upper torso area as you're breathing in and breathing out. So just start moving your awareness there and start becoming aware of breath happening as you're sitting down, standing up, or lying down, however you may be meditating for this session. Now, we've all had things going on before we gathered here to watch our breath. And there might be some thoughts about what happened or what should have happened. There might also be some thoughts or distortions towards what will happen or what can happen. And it can be difficult to let go of that because that feels important. I am important, and thus what will happen to me is important. That's what it feels like. But for this session, just these next 20 minutes, ask yourself, is it okay if you let go of all of that? Just for 20 minutes. As soon as we're done, you can start up again. But for the next 20 minutes, see if you can focus solely on your breath And let go of the idea that you need to solve anything, that you need to take time to worry about or figure out whatever it is that has happened or will happen. Instead, just spend some time with your breath, sitting in silence. To make it a little bit easier, we do a technique where we count the breath from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. And I will do this together with you the first time, and then you can continue by yourself. After that, I'll check in every now and then to make sure you're on the track. I will be breathing with deep breaths that you can hear, and that's not the way we're supposed to breathe. I just do that to make it easier to follow along. For this exercise, just let breath happen by itself. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's slow, sometimes it's deep, sometimes it's shallow. So start by observing your breath as you're breathing in and breathing out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in, breathing out. 4. Breathing in, breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 8. Breathing in and breathing out. 7. Breathing in and breathing out. 6. Breathing in and breathing out. 5. Breathing in and breathing out. 4. Breathing in and breathing out. 3. Breathing in and breathing out. 2. Breathing in and breathing out. 1. Now keep on counting your breaths by yourself from 1 to 8 and then down again from 8 to 1. As you breathe in, breathe out. 1. Breathing in and breathing out. As you're sitting, you might feel an itch somewhere. Or maybe there's a slight uncomfortableness somewhere in your body. Our normal reaction is to move, to stretch out the leg, or to scratch your chin, or lift your clothes, or whatever it is that's creating you discomfort. But now that you're sitting in a controlled manner and observing your breath, see if you can see what that actually looks like. What is it that happens inside of you when you feel an itch somewhere? What is it that happens inside of you where you feel some kind of discomfort and feel you want to move? We're not making it wrong to move, and you should definitely move if you feel like you're hurting yourself. All we're trying to do is just delay a little bit the instinctual response of blindly taking action. In this sitting, it's an itch. In daily life, it's something someone says to you that makes you react in a way. Maybe you react with anger. Maybe you react with fear, or guilt, or worry, or love. And instead of blindly following what happens, we just stop a bit and feel that sense of discomfort that comes up and makes us want to take some kind of action, as if though we've been programmed to do that. I often liken this to a rubber band. It's as though you can feel a rubber band pulling your arm towards your chin to scratch it. It's like someone is pulling a rubber band, a rubber rod maybe, even trying to stretch out your legs because there's a bit of discomfort. But if you feel you need to scratch, then just be aware that you want to scratch and wait for a minute. And after you waited for a minute, then try to wait for another minute. And just observe what happens. Can you feel the almost rubber bandy feeling of wanting to scratch? Can you see where it originates? Can you see where it ends up? And what does it look like in between? Just delay the response a little bit, and then when you can't do it anymore, you say, well, can I stay for 10 more seconds? And you observe it for another 10 seconds. And then when you feel, no, I can't do it anymore, then just 1 more second. And then eventually just scratch your chin or stretch your leg or whatever you want to do. It's not about how long you can sit in pain or discomfort. It's about being aware of the distortion, the tension, the pressure that comes up towards that discomfort that makes you blindly take action. So just observe what goes on inside of you as you're breathing in and breathing out. 1, breathing in and breathing out. It's easy to feel discouraged, to believe that everyone else who is sitting with you is doing this so much better than you are. I'm sure that they're having all kinds of pleasant experiences, and they probably don't have to struggle to stay with the breath just counting to 1. I'm probably the only one who has problems, who has thoughts, who has all these things come up for me. In fact, one of the best ways to ruin your meditation is to be critical, is to believe that your sitting should be something other than what it is. The best way to approach it is to simply accept. Right now, your mind is running around everywhere, but we are observing the breath coming back over and over. And the more you do that, you will notice that your mind calms down. The wanting to run everywhere and solve everything will calm down, and it will be easier to observe what happens inside of you. And the way that this works is that you keep coming back over and over and over again to your object of meditation. Every single time you discover that you've drifted off into some thoughts or simply forgotten to be aware of your breath, then come back. It doesn't matter if it's in 1 second of thought or 1 minute of thought or 10 minutes of thought. Be happy every time you realize, oh, I was lost in thought. I forgot to focus on my breath. That's very good. Then come back. And the more that you're able to come back, the easier it will be to stay with the breath. And after a while, it will feel as if though your awareness is absorbed by your breath. And there's virtually no effort to simply stay with the breath as it moves in and out. 1, in and out. As usual, if you feel like it, you can simply continue to sit, or we'll do a short question and answer after if anyone has any questions. I recommend you to start up slowly after you've sat, to stay with the awareness that you've gained during the sitting. And if preferably, when you get up and walk around, you can even try to do so with the kind of awareness you had while you were sitting and observing your breath. GP is saying the volume is low. Okay, sorry about that. I will keep the microphone closer. I'll try to fix it for next time. Thank you for telling me. Catherine's asking how my neck is feeling. it's tense. I have 3 herniated discs in my neck that I got while I worked as a dive guide, and they create a lot of tension in my neck. So I have like migraine pain coming up through my neck, up in the head, and it just, yeah, I've had it for 15 years. Maybe even longer. It's almost 20. Yeah, 15 years. So I'm quite used to it. It's just got worse last year since it started again. But I believe that that has to do with why I experience meditation a bit differently, because the energy that we feel moving up and down, for me, it gets stopped here, where I have the herniated discs. So for me, it's very, very easy to see when I'm distorting, because I can feel the pressure in my spine. I can also see very clearly when I'm in what I call a non-centric or non-dual state, because then that pressure disappears. It seems to be linked somehow, that there's this energy system moving up and down, which is why I don't actually call it energy, because if you say energy, it feels like it's something positive that we want to have more of. But it seems that the energy might actually be some kind of distortion, because when you're in a state of non-centricness or non-duality, it's just not running. That system is completely gone. And being without that is incredibly liberating, because there is no you that's relating to everything. JVB, hey, nice you made it. Catherine, have you tried an inversion table to stretch the spine? Yes, I have. When I got the injury, I worked as a dive guide in Palau, and I went to the Manila in the Philippines, and they pulled out my neck like this with a big machine that was pulling it up and down. And I have actually thought about buying one to try it at home, because I know you can put them on a door or something and pull up. I might actually do that, yeah. How can someone never meditate before start? GP is asking, how can someone never meditate before start? I don't understand that question. Could you ask, could you expound on it, describe a bit more? Also, welcome. I don't think I've seen you before, JP. Mindful Mama. Unfortunately, my kid woke up after the first minute of meditation, and I just came back down. I so completely missed the meditation. We'll sit a bit by myself. We'll look at the Q&A later. Nice. Stephen, how do you help people that aren't willing to look at their distortions? I normally don't. If they're not willing to look at them, they're like... I have a saying that I say that I only preach to the choir. I stopped long ago trying to force people to help themselves. The only exception would be family or someone who's very, very near me. But even then, I've accepted that I can't force someone to do something they don't want to, or they're not ready to do. That's kind of the problem. There's a lot of people who are suffering, but in their mind, they're not. That's just how life is supposed to be, according to them. And I think it's everyone's right to do that if they want to. I mean, I did that for a big part of my life. And if someone came up and said that, no, you shouldn't do that, then, I mean, I would have, like, you're just dumb. So in general, when people do something that you believe is bad for them, it's always good to ask if they actually want to have help with it first. I've helped enough people who don't actually want help to realize that it's not a good thing to do. There's no point in trying to force someone into that. If they're ready for it, then they will ask. You can bring it up and you can talk about it, say that you tried something that works for you, and that you had great success with it, and your life feels different, like life seems simpler. If that is something that you've tried that works for you, then you can open up and say, like, how's it going for you with these things, or or you can ask them if they're willing to try something, or have you tried this, have you tried that? But forcing change on someone, just, I don't believe it really works. And I'm not sure what if someone's trying to commit suicide or did something really serious, then I would say then it's a different thing. Then you kind of need to step in and help them. But yeah. I see GP is saying, my friend wants to start meditating, but she is looking for a teacher. She can't start just by watching YouTube. Does that make sense? So she wants to start, but I don't understand why she couldn't start just by watching YouTube. It's basically, if you want to meditate, it's very simple. It also depends on what kind of meditation you want to do and what you want to get from your meditation. I'm partial here, so I think a great thing is just send her here and have her watch some of these videos when we do guided meditations like this. That's a very easy way to start. There's not really much more that she would need than just come here, sit down and follow the instructions. And then if you would do that for 5 or 10 times, then you would have a basic idea of what meditation is and how it works. I'm sure there are loads of courses on meditation as well. There's probably a lot of crap out there as well. I mean, I've seen a lot that's not so good. It's really nice to meet someone in person who can help you, but everyone doesn't have that opportunity to do that. There's no one around them who can do it. So then you have to find some other way, but it's not necessary. It's not like you need to have a teacher physically with you. The basics of meditating are very simple. Jack is saying people are usually expecting some kind of let me see. Oh, Jack released it. I think what he was saying, one of the things people do when people as usual are expecting some kind of magic involved with meditation. Yes, I think one of the problems or issues for people is that they sit down and they start meditating and nothing happens. Like, I must be doing something wrong, because I've heard people talk about like Kundalini awakenings, seeing other like dimensions and talking to spirits and spirit guides and angels and archangels and like all of these things. So I'm not feeling that. I'm just seeing like breath coming in and out. That's not quite what I signed up for. And people believe that those experiences are important. And from someone who's had thousands of things, weird stuff happen to me, they're not important. They're just kind of crap, or like dirt, I shouldn't say, but like interesting events that come up. Much more important is to sit through something difficult and really let go of that. That's much more beneficial long term than having a feeling of bliss or whatever experience you want to. So I think that can be one of the things that people get stuck with, which is one of the reasons why it's good to actually have a teacher. Or you can just come and ask me here. Like if you have something like that, if someone would ask that question, that's not like difficult stuff to deal with. Let's see, GP saying, thanks, Stephen. If you feel someone will react badly when you point something out, should you just let it go? That depends. If it's someone that you live with, that is close to you, then sometimes you need to point things out, because you need to have a working relationship with them. It needs to function. Like if I had a partner one time who kept telling me like, oh, could you please put the ring down after you've been to the toilet seat ring? And like, I never really thought about it. Like at first I was like, oh, do I have to do that? Okay, maybe that's not a good example actually, because that's not something about my personality. But I see something else I've done that's dumb. I've done a lot of dumb stuff, so I should be able to come up with something. Okay, just because I can't come up with it. My point being that if you live with someone and they're doing something that is not good for you or for them, then it's a good point to bring it up. If someone's overly critical, or if someone is overly sensitive, or if someone misinterprets the same thing from you every time, then yes, it could be a good thing to bring it up. But if it's just a random person, like someone, not a random person, but a friend that it doesn't really matter that much, like what they do these things, it's up to them. Like, it's never your responsibility for someone else to change when they want to change, then they can change. Now, if it affects you, then yes, you can bring it up, but you also have to take into account that if someone would bring up to you and say, hey, Stephen, I don't like it when you do this, then yeah, very likely that's something that might be sensitive to you, and you might start becoming defensive. So many times it's better just to show by example, like how you want things to be done. Yeah. Mindful Mama, JP, in many yoga schools, they also offer meditation classes. Yeah, that's true. They do. Maybe that works for your friend, because that's something that they have yoga classes many places, so she could probably go to a yoga class. JVB, if I may present this topic, I blame myself for the actions of other people, especially when they mistreat me. How could I practice better self-compassion? Let me read that one again. If I may present this topic, I blame myself for the actions of other people, especially when they mistreat me. How could I practice better self-compassion? I see two different things here. First, you're assuming that the answer is better self-compassion, and you believe they mistreat you because of your actions. Well, other people's actions towards you. We have to, first of all, I mean, we had similar discussions like this before. First of all, it might actually be true. They may be mistreating you because of how you're behaving. Some people invite people to mistreat them almost. I'll give some example. Like if you're talking to a child and they say, Daddy, can we have some cookies? And you say, oh, well, actually it's 3 o'clock. We really shouldn't. No, I don't think we should have cookies. We'll wait because in 2 hours we're gonna have food. So yeah, let's wait 2 hours until we have those cookies. If you say it like that, then I'm sorry. Your kids are gonna say, I want cookies now. Can we have cookies? Can we have some cookies? Because you didn't say no. You didn't clearly state, no, I don't want cookies. No, we're not gonna have cookies. You basically been saying like, oh, maybe, I don't know. And kids are masters at picking these things up. So again, I'm like exaggerating with kids here. But if you would say it like that, then yes, your behavior is causing their action. If you would be very firm and say like, they ask, can we have cookies today? It's like, oh no, it's 3 o'clock. We're going to have food in 2 hours. So you have to wait. Which one of those two would be the easiest to mistreat or to go against what someone said? And again, I don't know your situation. We're just hearing, I blame myself for the actions of other people, especially when they mistreat me. So one part is, it could actually be something you're doing that is making it so that other people just don't treat you well. If you believe they're mistreating you by always having you, let's say when you have a party, you always end up cleaning up. They always expect you to clean up. Like, or if you do something, they always expect you to arrange everything. If you're always taking on that responsibility and always the one who does that, then your actions are in one way causing that behavior. Now, there's absolutely no reason to blame yourself or to feel bad about that. That's actually really good information. If you can find out that their behavior towards me is partly caused by me, and take away the blame and the guilt and everything, and just see, oh, you know what? I'm doing this kind of behavior, and it kind of makes sense that they then behave towards me in a way that I don't like. If you keep saying like, oh, you guys want to come to my house and play, and oh, I'll treat you for McDonald's, and your friends come, and okay, I keep thinking about kids now, but like you keep bribing them to come to you, then your relationship is going to be different than if you actually just go and play with them. So it's good to find out if there actually is something there behind it. And then secondly, the other part is the let's see, what was it? Self-compassion. So the second part would be that simply there's absolutely no reason to feel bad about that. I mean, that's just wherever that comes from, and it's something you did, it's something you want to change. So then you would simply look at that and you'd see, how do I distort towards this? Why am I feeling bad about this. They're behaving this, and it could be that they're complete assholes and they're just acting like jerks. I mean, that could be. I don't know what they're doing, and if they are, then like, yeah, they're dumb, and then you probably shouldn't spend time with them. But then why would you feel bad about that? That means that they're probably not the kind of people you would want to hang around with, or they have some kind of behavior, they have some kind of pattern that they're projecting onto you. So it's difficult to just say that, oh, it's always the other person's fault, or they should always be nice to you, because we don't know what's going on. So it's good for you to actually look at this and see, like, am I actually having some kind of behavior that might be causing this? But just, there's no reason to feel guilty about this. Like, why? Like, I don't remember your age, but I think you're probably, you're like 25, 30 or something, or am I just making that up? My point being that we learn. I'm 46 and I'm still learning loads of stuff of how to behave myself when I want other people to behave a certain way towards me. If I want people to feel comfortable, I need to behave a certain way. If I want them to listen to what I say, I need to say it and behave in a certain way. If I want something to happen, then I need to behave in a certain way. And we learn that stuff. There's like, why would you feel bad about that? That's perfectly fine. You're actually willing to do something about it. A lot of people are not. They just say, oh, those people are idiots, so it's not my fault. I mean, you're showing that you actually want to improve somehow. And the only thing really holding you back is that you feel guilt or worry. Instead, you would be trying to, okay, how can I make this work better? Or can I tell them, I don't like it when you behave like this? When you say that to me, it doesn't feel nice. And then see what happens with that. Maybe then you don't say that because you're worried about how they would behave back to you or what would happen. So there's a lot of things that could be unpacked within that question. JVB, yes, I'm quite younger than you. But do you see what I'm saying? Again, I'm really saying, like, the guilt is just that when I work with people and we look into it, like, all these feelings of guilt or anger and worry and stuff like that, it's just really pointless behavior, kind of. But it's easy to say that, but when you really look at it and you feel like, why would I feel bad about their behavior? It just doesn't make any sense. So then we would look at that and start letting go of that as well. But the first part is actually, there might be something here that we can learn. I hope that made some kind of sense, that ramble. Jack is saying, I always tell my friends that before Siddhartha got enlightened, he spent decades working different schools of getting around of your body and mind. Yeah. GP, maybe other people don't feel they mistreat you, but you feel that. That's also a very good point, GP, which is, again, why I didn't want to say yes or no, that they're wrong by them, because we don't know how much is from our perception and how much is from other people's perception. I know some people who feel immediately accused. Whatever happens, I have a friend who has said, like, when we met, they had a really hard time not taking everything personal. So if I would say something, it would be like, oh, I did something wrong, I'm a bad person, and they would really feel offended. And like, I just said, like, could you move the cup away from the edge because I'm worried it's going to fall over, and I love this painting here, like something like that. And for them, it was this big thing about how, like, oh my goodness, I'm a bad person now, I put the cup here, and there's a lot of insecurity in them. So it's very difficult to know where this kind of stuff comes from. It's an interesting question. And when you say it, I kind of like, oh, for me, that's not an easy answer, because there's so much more to unpack around it, and we'd have to look at how you actually relate towards it before we can start taking it apart. But in the end, the basic thing is basically that we should feel good all the time. We should enjoy being alive. And then we have these stories about things that happen in the past or happen in the future. And then we don't enjoy ourselves now. So kind of, you were with your friends, they said something, and then instead of enjoying being there, we're now projecting this story and like the sense of identity. This is me, it's important they behave a certain way. And then we create all these things that have to align for us to be happy and enjoy being here, instead of just enjoy being here, which would be a lot easier, but that's actually difficult to do, even though it's easy to say. Perhaps it's about boundaries. Yep. Hey, Alicia. Absolutely, boundaries can also be really good. And now we're getting into practical advice, something that I normally don't do. I can say something sometimes, but I find it much more interesting to look at the thing behind it. So the guilt that comes up, the worry that comes up, what is that? Where does that come from? What does that feel like? Can you actually use that as something to then look at that and say like, hey, I don't like feeling like this. And then the answer that we, in general spirituality, say like, okay, we change the outside world. What I'm saying like, oh, like sure, you can do that, and you absolutely should try to optimize your outside world. But if you believe that you will get fulfillment from fixing your outside world, you're going to have a never-ending story, because there's always going to be something else. So I absolutely agree with Alicia. Alicia, right? Yeah, Alicia. That like boundaries could be a good thing to have. Like put up boundaries. We could do like we said before. Listen to what's actually happening here. Maybe they have a point. Maybe they don't. Maybe you shouldn't even spend time with them. But then even more importantly is to look inside and to feel this thing that comes from them, like, and ask yourself, like, why am I ruining this moment? Because if you think about it, there's only now, like there's only this moment here that is real. We kind of stretch out our awareness over time, so we feel like it's real what happened before, and what's real what's going to happen in the future. But actually it's just now. And if you're not feeling good now, you're basically saying that I'm going to wait until the stars align and these certain circumstances, like exactly the way I want them to, then I will allow myself to feel happy. Because even though we don't believe so, we are the ones who have to allow ourselves to feel happy and to enjoy being alive, to enjoy being here. And there's always reasons not to enjoy being here. There always is. Way too many sometimes. And I'm not saying it's easy, or there aren't circumstances that are so grave that it's very difficult to see how you could enjoy yourself. But there always is a way to find something to enjoy, and not something as in, oh, this is good, but as in your senses, just being alive, just seeing, just touching is enjoyable if you can get this distortion of the self away. JVB, yes, I understand the meshes. If it's something I did, great, because I can change. If it's something they are projecting, great, because I can't control them. Yeah, exactly. No, you cannot. Mindful Mama, I am listening while sitting and got distortion to respond. I have this too, JVB. I have a sense of it's not fair when people do something to me like that. Partly due to it's just not honest, partly because I'm hurt that they do that. I expected more. There can be many other parts to it, yeah. I'll start with you, Martin. I won't let your harsh lectures make me feel bad. I really hope you don't feel bad, because I think that's it's actually a good thing, JVB, that you say that, because I think that you can feel from my way of talking that I am in no way saying you're a bad person. I'm in no way trying to say like, oh, like you're so dumb, just like, oh, you're an idiot. Like I'm not saying that. I'm not trying to emotionally hurt you. I'm genuinely trying to help you see a different perspective, to help you see that, okay, even though it's good to change these outside things, to put up boundaries, to have like all these things that can make your life easier, you can actually focus on this, like on you, and take responsibility for how you're relating, or like I say, distorting towards the world. Because what I said in the beginning, that when you can get away from the sense of self and this distorting, this pressure towards the world around you, and you can actually you can actually see everything in front of you without that distortion, without that friction. It's kind of when you go to vacation and you come to a new city and you've never been there. There's new smells, there's new architecture, there's new sounds, there's new scents in the air. You can taste different food. Everything is engaging. So all of a sudden you don't have a distortion because you never experienced those things before. Now, with your friends, you're not actually enjoying your friends because you have all these distortions. Oh, I hope they perceive me the right way. I hope they feel this way about me. And there's this sense of, I need to defend this thing here. And you're not actually honest in a way. You're not being honest and just being you towards them. If anything, I actually think you're very honest here, because you've been sharing a lot of stuff. So that's a start. And I think you can really see that even though I say things that can be perceived as mean, maybe even cruel by some people, and unfair, absolutely, I could see people say that. I think you can see that I'm not saying them to be mean or to be cruel. I'm really saying them to make you take a little bit look around the corner and see like, hey, can I look at this from another angle? Can I see what part do I have in the reaction? Even though like beyond your part in their behavior, like how are you reacting towards it, that you're feeling guilty? Is that something you could actually do something about without changing their behavior or your behavior? Again, it's not easy to do, and it's difficult. And I see my mama saying that she had the same thing, and the only thing I can do is work with the distortion. And after that, let's see if there's anything left to do. Yeah, it really is like you have to just let these things come up and you observe them. And if anything is actually useful, when you say you're out walking and you're having a good day and you're just walking around and enjoying yourself, and yeah, you just kind of watch your phone, you buy some stuff, you go to work and things. Like in that scenario, there's not going to be a lot of growth because there's not so much going on. Life is okay, kind of. It's not really great, and you're not really being present. You're just kind of moving along like the majority of people, almost like zombies, kind of. We just, I one of the saddest things I know is when I go to a cash register and I see a young person, and this is like this, hello. They're not even there. They're kind of like doing like this, and they're talking to me. Yeah. Like they're not there. Like they're not present in what's happening to them. And then you can have another scenario when you have something like this that really hurts, and it's like, ow, I feel I feel whatever it is you're feeling. If you feel betrayed, if you feel guilt, and that is painful. And then when you start looking at that pain, eventually you'll go like, hey, wait a minute, why am I doing this? Why am I doing this to myself? I mean, I'm not saying they're right in what their behavior. I'm not saying they're wrong either. I'm just saying, like, if we take that as one thing, and then this pressure that you're creating towards that, why do we feel? If my son is 2 years old, and I have a daughter who's 5, and she wears skirts, and he wants to be like his big sister. So he put on a skirt, and he went to daycare with a skirt, and he was like, I have a skirt like my sister. And he was so happy. He's like, look at my skirt, because my sister has one, and she's my idol. She's the best person in the whole wide world, so I want to be like her. And he came to school like that in a skirt. And then some of the other kids looked at him, and they laughed at him, and he didn't understand. He's like, why are they laughing? And I mean, he could see and feel like something was going on, but he didn't yet have the idea that he should feel bad when they're laughing. But gradually he'll learn, like, oh, people laugh at me, I'm doing something wrong. I should feel ashamed, I should feel guilt, I should probably be sad about this, I did something wrong. And then he starts developing this pattern, but it's not something we're born with, and it's something that we can unlearn. I once heard a beautiful sentence about spiritual practice, and there's nothing more. Wow, that's so profound, Mindful Mama. That was the sentence, like just blank space. I have one thing that I used to always say when I did my course before this, that one of the problems with spiritual practice is that people need to find these complicated answers. They need to find these profound wisdoms that are so deep, they go into other lives, and like in past lifetimes, future lifetimes, and karma throughout universes and dimensions. Like, instead of just, hey, wait a minute, what if it's actually as simple as just enjoying being here, like just now, despite what happened in the past, or what's going to happen in the future, or what's happening around you. It couldn't be that easy, could it? No, it couldn't. There has to be like all these things. I need to go to therapy. I need to bring all these old things up, and I need to look at what happened in my childhood. And then if someone says your behavior is because of your father when you were 5 and you tried to eat the dishwater, no, you tried to drink the dishwashing soap, and he yelled at you and said you're dumb. Now I feel dumb, and I realized I was just a child. I didn't understand that drinking dishwashing soap was bad for you. And he just tried to help me, so I don't need to feel bad about that anymore. Wow, that's amazing. I don't need to feel bad anymore. What they needed was, I mean, that sounds dumb, but there literally are like some example of psychotherapy that are at that, like, direct. And it's just that they needed to hear, it's okay for you to feel good. and they needed the explanation behind it. But you don't need that explanation. You can just choose to, oh, you know what? I don't need to feel bad like I'm a failure. I don't need to do all these things. But it helps sometimes to have this story behind, but you don't need it. And when you start learning that you can do that with everything without figuring out the story, figuring out your past lifetime that caused you to now have this behavior. So the reason I feel afraid of being in a relationship is because in my past lifetime I got cheated on, and my wife, she stole all my money, and then she came back and killed me. I've literally heard stories like that. People who say that I'm afraid of relationships because of what happened in their past lifetimes. And it's not enough to suffer from what happens now. Now they're involving something they believe happened in the past, which may or may not be true. I'm not saying it is or it isn't. I'm just saying, why relate to all that baggage? Why create this rubber band, this friction towards this thing that you don't even know if it's real, instead of just now? Because it's only going to be now. When in the future you believe that all the stars are going to align and everything is going to be perfect, it's also going to be now. It's just now. It's just this moment of now, moving around and moving forward. But you can never go outside of now. And if you wait for another now, it's like, why? Why not choose now to enjoy yourself? I mean, if you're in a really bad situation, I understand that's difficult to do, but everyone sitting here, I'm assuming that most of you are now sitting in a somewhat comfortable place. I mean, I'm having pain in my neck. It's a little bit warm in here, but I'm actually very comfortable. I'm sitting on a cushion. I'm safe. I don't feel threatened. I have a wall around me. I could sleep in here if I wanted to. I mean, there's no real reason why I shouldn't be enjoying myself being here, but I could. I could say, oh, there's this pain. I wish I didn't have this pain. I'm going to wait until next week. If the pain disappears next week, then I'm going to enjoy being here. Then I will enjoy being here. And if I earn, like, if I win the lottery and win $100,000, then I'm going to install, I don't know, LED lights on the walls, and then I'm really going to enjoy being in here. So when you start changing your way of thinking and asking yourself, like, hey, wait a minute, why am I not enjoying being here now? What is it that I expect will change in the future? And why do I set that as a criteria for enjoying being here? Why not just enjoy being alive and just enjoying what's happening around you? And just, like I said, just look around you. Really, when you take away this sense of self distorting towards everything, looking at anything is enjoyable. Like, things are just beautiful the way they are, especially like in this one. Oftentimes I have, when we finish the meditation, there's like all this like not stuff, but like miscolorations on the brass. I look at that and it's so beautiful. It's even more beautiful when there's these spots and stuff on it than when it's completely blank and clean. But if it would be blank and clean, then blank, is that an English word, blank? No, a reflective surface. Then that would be beautiful in itself also. Like, I could see the reflections. So it's really about learning to enjoy being alive, learning to not make it so damn difficult to enjoy being you. Like, we just made up all these shitty ideas of why we shouldn't have fun, or why we shouldn't accept, because someone told me that I was like acting like a weirdo, or like when I was a kid someone said this. Or I have one funny thing actually. I when I was in high school, we were at a party, and some of us guys, we were drinking, and we call it Mona. We show our asses to a camera, and okay, this is a weird story. We showed our bums to a camera, and there was two girls there, one of the guy's girlfriend and her friend, and they said like, oh, he has the best bum. And that was me. In my entire life, from that one experience, I was like, yeah, I have a nice bum, you know, like, yeah. From one time it happened that I was at a party, and those two girls said like, yeah, he has a nice ass. And that one single experience made me, the rest of my life, feel like, yeah, you know what, I have a nice bum, because I had something in the past that they said. And I mean, honestly, they just happened to say that. It could be that one of those girls had a crush on me and therefore they said that, or it could be that they just randomly, I mean, it just doesn't have to make any sense at all. Someone else would have said something completely different, but I chose to accept that, and so therefore I've always felt confident about my bum. Now I have other parts about me that I did not feel confident about because no one said that. But why? Why would I let them, two girls, 30 years ago, saying something about me still affect my view on my... It's idiotic. It's completely dumb. See, JVB, I'm grateful for my meditation because it helped me see the self-blame was a distortion. Nice. I'm happy to hear that. Catherine, I feel like as I get older, time seems to go by much faster. Yes, it does. I could not enjoy the present when I was younger because I kept wishing my life away. Yeah, a lot of people do that. Catherine, like on Mondays, I would say, I wish it was Friday. Winter, I would say, I wish it was summer. Oh man, I know that. So many people live like that because they're looking for something else. The best advice I ever got was stop wishing your life away. That's beautiful. Yeah. Yeah, there's so much truth in that. Oh, it's actually quite late, but I enjoy this discussion, and it's nice when we can get into things that aren't so obvious. And I'm sorry if I ramble a lot around the subject. It's just because I simply don't know exactly how to share what I believe so easily, because these things are quite difficult and they go against a lot of the things of how we are brought up. But I really do believe that if you look at this and if you really do, like Catherine say, like don't wish your life away. Like honestly, why aren't you doing your best to enjoy now? And I'm not talking about saying like, oh, I'm grateful because someone harvested the wood for this building that I'm in, and I'm grateful for this person who made this sofa. I'm grateful for the sheep, because then there's a sense of me and I'm distorting and trying to feel like, oh, I'm grateful. Instead, appreciate. There's a difference between being grateful and appreciating. Being grateful feels like there's a sense of debt. This is me and I'm grateful you did this for me. Okay, I feel some kind of debt. But if you appreciate instead, wow, this is incredible. There's this thing here that's just like, I can sleep on it and I can look at it. I can see the walls like they're keeping me inside here, and they're safe, and they're just there, and they're also beautiful the way they're looking there. So appreciate instead of gratitude is something I would really advise you to look into. There's a big difference. Yes, let's stop it there. Thank you everyone for another beautiful evening, and I'll see you again on Thursday. Have a great week, and keep on meditating and keep on trying. JVB, tell us how it goes. Try it and see if it changes your perspective, and if you're able to just move that little bit to see that you can actually enjoy despite what's happening outside or even inside of you. Thank you. See you on Thursday.